Mediating disputes over kids during back to school, part of the series Mediation Tips by Fran. That is our topic for today.
Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast by InstantMediations.com, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube, the Instant Mediations app, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact-dependent.
Hi everyone, Mac Pierre-Louis here, attorney mediator and arbitrator working throughout Florida and Texas.
Natalia Łuczka-Czajka, advocate, mediator, and arbitrator from Warsaw, Poland.
And I'm Fran Brockstein, an attorney and mediator in Texas.
All right, thank you again, ladies. And so now we are back on this topic of mediating disputes during back to school. And this is a big deal because we are in September 2021, and it's the time of the year that a lot of children around the world have now gone back to school in person. And for a lot of kids, this is the first time they're back in the classroom after many, many months of being out due to the pandemic. Sure, many kids are still doing online learning, but for a lot of people around the planet, this time has a lot of newness and a new fresh feel to it because things are being done so differently now in the regular classroom. And so we wanted to remind parents, first off, that everything about this topic, focus on the children first, right? Because kids, this is a very scary time for kids. When we're talking about mediating disputes over children, we have to keep in mind the children first and how, for a lot of them, this whole back to school season is pretty scary times. But anyway, ladies, we're going to open up the floor now for all of us to discuss some of the common things and disputes that we've seen over the years as family law attorneys. So Fran, please take it away.
Well, exchanges seem to be a big issue with families. I personally have learned that exchanges at the school usually work the best. Number one, the parents don't have to see each other. Number two, it's a transition period for the children anyway, and so it's a good time. And there's also other people around in case you ever need a witness to come to court to testify about what's been happening. So I really do encourage parents to exchange at the schools.
And having said that, I need to say that the Polish perspective for that is also this way, meaning it's been proven by some tests that this is the least stressful for the kid. One parent brings the kid to school, the other one picks it up after the school duties of the kid. The parents don't see each other, the kid doesn't see the parents in dispute, because the most stressful moment for the kid is when two parents about whom the kid definitely knows that they don't like each other meet together, and all this tension is being transferred on this innocent kid in the middle.
Yeah, so what I would add to that, the whole idea of exchanging at the schools, in the jurisdiction of Texas, for example, most parents have a standard possession order where they follow the schedule every other Friday at 6 o'clock. Typically a father might go to the mom's house, gets the child, and bring the child back Sunday evening by 6 p.m. But then there's what we call the expanded or the standard possession order with elections, where instead of returning the child back after the weekend on Sunday night, bring the child back to school Monday morning. And instead of picking the child up Friday night from the home, pick the child up from school after school. And so this option has been in the law for years, and a lot of parents are choosing it more and more often. And so it's a great way to stick into your custody order the election of being able to bring the child to school and pick the child up from school. That does cut down a lot of potential conflicts between parents, especially between parents at a specific home. A quick little story. I've had a case where a father goes to the mom's home to get the child, and the mom's new husband, who doesn't like my client very much, was making life rather difficult. And so what we ended up doing was choosing a different place for them to do the elections. And school is a great other option, except when school's out during the summer, and you gotta start thinking about other solutions. But typically, back to school means you're gonna be seeing a lot of parents picking and exchanging and returning children on campus at school. Ladies,
And back to school also means that you are you're going to take your parental exam in a way, because the parents are too, but you need to work as a team. That means that when you are going to a parent-teacher night, you present a similar position on the issues that are being discussed. You go there together, even if you would normally not speak to each other somewhere in public. Please remember, the person whom you are embarrassing the most is not you, it is your kid in front of other parents and in front of the teachers. So please avoid it. Really be more considerate about your own kid.
And each parent needs to be responsible for communicating with the school directly. And please do not use your children as messengers. Small children tend to be very bad at communication. And so if I've often had one parent say, for example, dad would say, Mom isn't keeping me informed. Well, nowadays with the internet and with parental portals all the schools have, it's very easy for both parents to independently communicate with the teachers and the registrar, get a copy of the child's report card, get progress reports. And I think it's very important that if a parent wants to know what's going on with their child, they talk to the teacher directly and not go to the other parent. The same with the doctors. If there's a problem, you should be able to pick up the phone and call the doctor and talk with the doctor directly regarding your children's needs.
exactly. So this whole communication topic, we can't stress this enough, because we firmly believe, most lawyers and mediators will believe, that communicating with the other parent will probably do a lot and go a long way toward helping keep and prevent disputes, keep disputes down and prevent them from happening in the first place. And so sometimes that might mean communication between the parents. Sometimes it involves communication between the parent and the teacher. And still sometimes it involves communication between the parent and the child. But when it comes to parent communication between the parent and the teacher, yes, I echo what my sisters in the law have said. And that is, make sure that you're on the same page, okay, and on the same team. Because how is that going to look for your kid? Your kid's going to be very happy because they see that mom and dad are on the same team. Next, make sure that when you are speaking to a teacher, you keep the other parent in the loop. If the other parent is not keeping you in the loop, well, then do yourself a favor and make sure you go and communicate with the teacher yourself. And finally, we have these parent communication tools, and these are something that we've talked about in the past, where parents can get on ourfamilywizard.com, talkingparents.com, appcalls.com, all these parent communication tools that have cropped up over the years. These things exist to keep open communication existing between the parents. Well, when it comes to grades, progress reports, report cards, activities in school, using one of these apps is a great way for parents to stay on the same page and keep the communication open. And I echo what Fran says, don't use the kid to do the communication. If you use one of these apps, if you guys don't get along, well, it will be a great way for you guys to keep the bridge open, to always keep communication open. It will reduce your disputes, promise. All right, ladies, what other disputes do you think typically comes up that we need to remind viewers and listeners about? Natalia?
Well, Christmas is always a time people fight. And I've always laughed and said, I've never seen a child get upset about having two Christmases. It's always the parents that make a big production of it. And so I'm a divorced parent, and here's the bottom line. You're not going to have your child for every holiday. It's okay to celebrate a birthday or even Christmas, not on the actual day. Make it a celebration. It can be fun. Be creative. And ask the child what the child wants. Many times children have really fabulous ideas if you just ask them what they want.
Listening to the kids is a really very important topic as well, because what happens is the kids tend to learn more from the social media and from other kids than from the parents on many occasions. And yes, a lot of things when it comes to schooling, when it comes to planning holidays, is about planning, and planning, again, communicating. Anytime there is a dispute, mediation is a good place where you can go. You don't need to engage the courts. You just go to a mediator, especially if those issues are, let us say, the smaller issues or the everyday issues, the things that you want to have, let us say, being done in an adaptive way or alternating the way that might be difficult to actually put in the court order. In the mediation, you can agree between yourself in something that is absolutely just your own way to do things, also when it comes to school and holidays.
And
So go ahead, please, Fran.
another area where people tend to fight a lot is extracurricular activities.
Mhm.
And one family used me for about 4 or 5 years. They would come every year and I would pick the children's extracurricular activities because they could not agree. So what I would do is have the kids come in, I would take the children aside and say, "What do you want to do this year?" And they would tell me, and then I would report back to parents. We'd write it up. And I kept saying to parents, "Why don't you just talk to your kids?" I said, "Well, we like to come see you." So for 5 years, they came to me every year and we would tweak their agreements between the family. And I kept them out of court, and the kids were happy, the parents were happy, and eventually they all aged out and they went away.
Yeah, so the extracurricular activities issue is kind of a big deal because a lot of parents want their child to be well-rounded, to have musical talents, to be able to perform well in sports. And that takes time for the child to go and do their practices and all of that. But that can sometimes create friction with the other parent because that may then spill over into the possession time of the other parents, right? We've seen this all the time. For example, we all have the Little League story or the football story or the violin class or piano class story or the ballet story. That's come up in my situation, in my cases, okay, where mom puts the child in ballet or dad puts the boy in football and the other parent gets a little irritated because of the fact that one, they were not consented. They were not, oh, I should say, consulted. They didn't give their consent. It was just foisted on them, and then they have to deal with it, and they end up losing time. They want the best for their kid too, but they want it to be done differently. And so this whole thing about mediating disputes is it is a good solution for helping parents come to the table and resolving something that your kid probably wants to do, like sports or musical instrument, but the parents are facing challenges in because they're not able to, see their child as they would like. So, but ladies, let's keep discussing this because it's something that comes up all the time.
Yes, and I also want to add to that very much that extracurricular activities is not a way for the mothers or the fathers to control what other parents do during the time with the kids. So, for example, I really encountered fathers who had, let us say, just time during the week on prescribed hours, let us say Tuesdays and Thursday between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. And within those hours, 6 hours per week on weekdays, they needed to get 3 different kids to 3 different locations. I mean, really, the parent is not a taxi driver, not an unpaid nanny. This is not how you should be doing that. You need to both agree on that, and this is neither a way just to keep your kids busy to prevent them from seeing the parent. Because, for example, I really encountered some persons that were seeing swimming activities as a perfect time with their dad. But the kid is in the water, the dad or the mom is standing there and just watching. And, times go by, 3 hours pass, okay, just drive them home. And so extracurricular activities do have many aspects, and they are like a mirror to your own parental abilities. whether you are able to discuss it with the other parent for the benefit of the kid, that you need to embrace, because the kid might also have their own interest. They might even have talent in painting, but prefer to do robotics. Speak to your kid, make them a part of this choice, and make them also know that you as parents made the decision together on what extracurricular activities are being done.
So let me add this. When it comes to extracurricular activities, it's not just the activity, but it's also the cost of the activity. So we've had to mediate many cases over the years where two parents might agree that little Johnny is going to play football, but there's costs associated with it. And they can't agree as to who's going to pay for uniforms, who's going to pay for the equipment, and how they're going to deal with, away games or whatever. And so this is another reason why you come to the table to discuss these things, because you can't put a plan together, a plan of action that's going to satisfy your needs and the wants and desires of the child. So think these things through before they happen, right? Think through the holidays. Think through the extracurricular activities, the sports, the musical training, the ballet. Think through these things. Think through the costs that are associated, because there's no reason you need to find yourself in court over such things if you are able to make some kind of deal over for the benefit of the child. But ladies, go ahead, please. Any final words of advice that you could give to anybody out there who's dealing with disputes during this time of back to school?
Let me again take the floor. I need to remind everybody that this is also like a test on your consistency as parents in your mutual relationship, but also in your relationship with the kid. Enrolling a kid to school or to other activities just for 2 weeks, because then the kid changes its mind, is not going to be good for the kid. It's not going to be educational for them. If you put the kid onto certain activity, especially activity that the kid wanted, it's not that I don't like it any longer and I just been there twice. No. You are going to be attending that because you have made your choices. Consistency.
Yeah, and let me add one more thing about consistency, and that is, please don't be those parents that exhaust your kids to death because one of them decides, okay, well, I really love this kind of sport. I'm going to put the child in this sport. And the other parent says, no, I disagree. I want this sport. And now you think to yourself, the child must love this because look, we're both doing this to the child. Poor kid. All right. So how about the parents get on the same page and become consistent in what the child should do, and they both support him or her, not both of them do their own thing independent of the other, which could then just drive the child towards exhaustion. So that's another thing to remember. Fran?
Sometimes kids just need downtime. I know my daughter a couple of times, even in high school, would say, I just need to go to my room and be alone. And she'd go away for about an hour or two. Then she'd pop back out and be refreshed and ready to go again. And I agree. Some parents try to micromanage their children's lives 24/7. And sometimes kids just need to chill and to take it easy and have some quiet time. So it is important to communicate with your child. And also I find that especially as they reach puberty, they develop opinions of their own. And so we need to listen to them and respect their opinions and also take into account what they're wanting to do.
Thank you so much. All right, ladies, thank you again for the words of wisdom. So everybody else out there, signing off, and please come back next time. Mac Pialui.
Natalia Oskoczajka, see you next time.
Fran Brockstein, have a great day.